Jesus said to his disciples, "Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. It is like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge, each with his own work, and orders the gatekeepers to be on watch. Watch, therefore. You do not know when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or at midnight, or at cockcrow or in the morning. May he not come suddenly and find you sleeping. But I say to you, I say to all, watch." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Be watchful, be alert. You do not know when the time will come. As we enter a new liturgical year, we are discovering a new year which comes with new time, and remembering the times that pass. It is a season of joy. It is a season of expectation. So time has a lot to do with it. So I'd like to reflect on two things on this homily, on this Sunday. On the passing of time as a gift from the Lord, and our stewardship of time as well, as we continue our reflections on stewardship on this, the 5-week that we're about to conclude next week. The invitation of Jesus, be watchful, be alert, you do not know when the time will come, is a reminder that time passes and that time brings a limitation, and we all have limited amount of time. How busy are we? Isn't it become like these days, actually, we're busier than ever before. And so many things require our attention and our time. Sometimes we do not have time to spend with the Lord, or to spend quality time with Him. But the good news that comes with Advent is that God gives us His time. Jesus Christ came into the world. The Word was made flesh, and the one who created time entered into time Himself. The limitations of time are not alien to Jesus. As He comes into our life, God punctures the wall of eternity and enters into our world. God enters into our time. And we see the intervention of God throughout time. 3 points, basically. The creation, when in the beginning of time, before God made the heavens and the earth, there was God. Then, when He enters and the Word becomes flesh, in the fullness of time, as St. Paul tells the Galatians, He was born unto us. And then, at the end of time, the last judgment, when He will come again. Advent offers us an opportunity to reflect on time. But we cannot see this time as chronological. That is, a succession of events. Creation was in the beginning, but creation continues today. God did not create the world and let it be, but God continues in the work of creation. So God is there every instant, every moment in which things continue to exist. So things are being created as we speak. Creation moves and God moves with it. So God's creative action did not end in Genesis, but continues. And it will continue until the end of the ages. Also, the coming of Jesus cannot be seen as a slide of time, because He came into the world and that's it. He comes and He's gone. No, His coming, His paschal mystery, His life, death, His passion, death, and resurrection brings old time to Himself. So it redeems the past and redeems in the future as well. So the coming of Jesus in Bethlehem has an endless reality in regards to time. God gives himself generously, and his salvation is past time and future time as well. And in the end of time, we cannot think of it as something that we're only going to see at the end. Many of us will encounter him before the end. Any of us can be called to his presence at any moment. That's what Jesus brings that up to us. We do not know that when the time will come. For each one of us, it can happen any day, any moment. We wake up in the morning, we assume we have the next day, but we have that. But time itself for us is a gift. Jesus in the gospel explains what this gift is if we're stewards of it. It's like a man traveling abroad. He leaves home and places his servants in charge. That means the servants were not owners of it, but leaves them in charge as stewards in order the gatekeepers to be on the watch. And Jesus says we don't know when the Lord will call us to himself, when the Lord of the house is coming, whether in the evening or midnight, or a cockcrow, or in the morning. May he come suddenly and find us sleeping. Keep vigil, Jesus says. So it invokes the limitations of time that we all have. But more importantly also, all the limitations that we have. When I'm giving marriage preparation guidance to couples as they're getting married, there's one of the sessions in which I dedicate completely to budget. Yes. Father knows about budgets. You know how to add, you know how to subtract, and you know when things don't match. You know, in Spanish we say, baja el cero no toca. You know, I don't know how to translate that. You know when there is not enough. But the important thing about couples, the reason I ask them to budget, is precisely because a lot of the conflict in couples has to do with money. A lot of it, more than what we realize. Many divorces are based on financials. And I'm not speaking about the lack of money or the surplus of it, but how it is managed, how decisions are made. If the couple does not agree on these things, then it causes tension in the relationship. So I tell couples that they have to worry about 3 budgets. And as we continue our stewardship, I want you to reflect on those 3 budgets with me. The first one is obvious, finances. There is a limited amount of money that everyone has, unless you print your own money. And if you do, it's devalued. Money does not have an endless resource. You have to budget. Every family has to make a budget. Even our stewardship campaign reminds us that the reason is because God gives us so many gifts, we have to make sure that we use them accordingly and responsibly. So budgets are important for homes. Many people go as they go and they don't realize, where did the paycheck go? Because there is no budget. There is no planning for savings, for the future of the children, for infrastructure, for mortgages, to make sure that in case something breaks in the house, you can replace it or fix it. A family requires budgets. Unfortunately, our charitable giving to our parish, we do not see it as part of our budget. So it's not so much what they can afford or cannot afford to help their parish community, but it's more as whether we budget for it and we plan for it, as opposed to just giving to the church what's left in our pockets. But sometimes it's just coins. We give them the surplus, but we'll reflect a little bit about that later. So it requires the families to budget. In other words, to have a discipline. This is what we're going to spend things. And you will see that if you have a budget, that it is more than what the Lord has given us in order to sustain not only ourselves, but also to help others in need as well. The second item that I tell couples that they need to budget upon is time, which the gospel brings to fruition for us. Budget time. We have only so much time. It is limited. So many hours every day, so many days every week and every month and so forth. But you cannot do everything. What happens when we do not budget time is that we waste it. If we know how many hours we sleep, how many hours, when are we going to eat, how many hours we spend with our family, with our friends, then we'll know how many hours we have for leisure and other activities. But if we do not plan our time, then we waste a lot of time. And how much is easy to waste time? We forget that we have a limited amount of time in this world, and that we can waste a lot of it in the process and not giving us to the fullness. So, can we help the church? We don't have time. But then we spend 3-4 hours a day on Facebook or something. You know, it is about managing time. Finding the time for this or the time for that, in order for us to plan ourselves. That's what's important, and then when we're giving our time for the needs of the church, that we plan them, become part of an organization, as opposed to coming randomly whenever I have time left. Sunday, it's an obligation to come to Mass on Sunday. It is also an obligation to support the parish at many levels. We don't realize it because we don't like the word obligation, but it requires us, it kind of forces us to plan and to budget. And the third budget that I tell couples that they need to focus on is energy. And when I speak of energy, I'm not talking about changing light bulbs for energy efficiency. I'm speaking about the energy that each one of us has on a given day. When we sleep, we recharge our energy. And then we need to use that energy wisely. When we eat, that's energy. Some people like to store more than needed. You know? Because I gluttony. Because we have to eat what we need for energy in order to operate. But if we do not operate, we eat a lot, and we do not spend the energy that it was given to us by food, your body's going to store it. You know, in places you don't want. You know, but basically energy is something that we already have. How do we spend our energy? It's important because it's also a limitation. Sometimes we work so hard that we don't have energy to be with the family, that we don't have energy to pray. How many times we just fall asleep in our prayer because we're so tired, because we don't have energy to pray? Or we don't come to church on Sunday because we don't have energy in order to give the Lord what is His. He gave us energy. So how do we spend our energy? How do we manage our energy? It's important because eventually you cannot live on caffeine. So you have to manage the energy in order for you to make use of it. And in that way we're stewards of those three things. Time, money, and energy. We have limitations on it, and we have to use it wisely. So as we enter into the last phase of our stewardship, I encourage you during this Advent season to think about those three budgets in your life, and to find ways in which we can humbly tell the Lord, Lord, these three things are not mine. Help me to use them wisely. I invite Josh, if he can come forward to share on our stewardship.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, people of San Martin. You're here for just a moment. So we're on the 5th week, one more week of our stewardship emphasis. And I was reminded of the way up north. We have these plants called dandelions. You here in Arizona probably don't know what those are. They grow where it rains, you know. But anyway, when children are 4 and 5 and 6, oftentimes they'll collect dandelions, these flowers, they're weeds, and bring them into their mother or father. Maybe there's mothers in here, you've received little flowers from your children. And when you receive it, how do you respond? Oh, wow, this is beautiful. You know, you don't say, hey, get those weeds out of the house. Most mothers will put it in a little vase, and this is beautiful, you know. And then the dad comes home and just throws it out, right? We didn't know what it was. So you praise the child for bringing that gift to you because the child is responding with the best of their abilities, the love they have for you, right? But you probably wouldn't respond that same way if your grown adult child brought a bunch of dandelions to you, right? Because they're not responding to their ability. Does that make sense? So stewardship, a reflection today, stewardship is inviting us to reflect, am I responding to the level of my ability? As a mature Catholic follower of our Lord, does my response match my ability to respond? And that's the parables about the talents, the master coming back to check on the work. It's asking us to reflect, am I responding? Does my response match my ability, my responsibility with my finances? And the mission of the parish unites us. So, there's some things we used to do with our children. I shared last week, I'm not sure if it was at this Mass, how my wife's mother, their grandmother, made it her responsibility to spoil my children. And she would mail them cash or put it in the checking account. And we would try to train our children, if grandma sends you $100, take the first $10 and give it in the offering. If grandma sends you 20, take the first 2 and give it in the offering. So teaching to budget and prioritize our responsibility of supporting the work with our finances, our money. So if you would take out in front of you the pledge card out of the seat pocket of the chair in front of you and take a look at that with me. We're all going to bring this back next week. We're all going to take it home, and if we're single, we're going to pray about it, we're going to think about it, we're going to assess our responsibility. If we're married, we're going to talk with our spouse and make a calculated pledge based on our family budget. Because, listen, San Martin de Porres has a budget. Did you know that? And so your pledge card is saying, San Martin de Porres, I understand you have a budget. Based on our family's budget, here's what we want to pledge to give back what the Lord has entrusted to us. This is our ability, this is our best ability to respond. And so the pledge card, when you take it home, is a chance for you to reflect, am I at the dandelion level of responsibility? Or have I matured some and my resources are such that I can respond? My response has grown. My ability to respond has grown in supporting the proclamation of the gospel here at San Martin de Porres Parish. So take this home, and I with you am going to be speaking with my spouse, and we're going to be reflecting, what is our best ability to respond for the whole year? What's my pledge that I can commit to for the year? What's my response ability? Amen?